Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Tech Showdown in this collaboration video with PlaytechTV. So in this video we're going to be doing the ultimate value for money build off. So it's going to be me representing Tech Showdown of course, and Greg representing PlaytechTV.
That's
and
right.
We're going for the best performance per dollar that we can both get. So there are going to be a few rules, as Greg will tell you right now.
Rule 1. Parts must be new and unused and in stock at Playtech. So nothing secondhand, no dodgy deals, nothing that fell off the back of a truck, nothing like that. Rule 2. No overclocking. We're comparing out of the box performance only and we don't want to end up with an overclocking competition. Rule 3. No cheating. The PC builds must stay in the shop until after benchmarks are complete, so there's no chance for Kevin to sneak this back home and swap out the parts. So my thinking with this build is, for the best value for money, I don't really want to build the cheapest thing possible, because if I'm trying to save money, I'd probably just end up buying a console. Like, I mean, if a computer can only play 720p, 900p at 30 frames or something, may as well just get a console. So I'm going to be aiming a little bit higher. I'm going to be aiming probably closer to like 800 to $1,000. I'll probably be looking at maybe a Pentium or an i3. We're not allowed to overclock those, so I might not go for the Pentium, but maybe. And then probably like a dedicated graphics card as well. So maybe something like one of the R7s, like a 370, or maybe a GTX 950, something like that. My thinking behind that is that it's going to make a better, more powerful computer in the long run. And I think it's going to be closer to hitting that 1080p 60 frames kind of mark. And that's what I would consider to be a good experience, and that's what I would say would be good value, is getting something that's under $1,000 but can play modern games at a level that is much better than a console. And that's how I'd validate it.
Okay, so let's get started looking through what I'm going to be doing. So I've been thinking about it a little bit in terms of what I would like to do with this build, and I'm thinking of going for an AMD APU build. So this is for two reasons. The first is that I'm kind of, consoles are made to be very good value for money, so I'm sort of being a copycat in that sense by going down that alley. But also because I've never, done an APU build before, so it'll be a bit of fun, something different for me also. So first thing we're going to do, we got to find ourselves an APU. I'm thinking I'll go with probably this one. So it'll be the AMD A8 7670K Godavari. So 3.6 gigahertz quad core. So of course I got to pair it with a motherboard, so I'll go in here, it's FM2+, and that makes it pretty easy. And there's quite a big price discrepancy there, so I think we'll just go with the cheaper one here, this little Asus A88XM-A, A88X. That all looks pretty good, takes up to DDR3 2133, so faster RAM actually makes quite a bit of difference when it comes to APUs. So I want to be running the fastest memory I can, so we'll pick this guy right here. Now let's go find some RAM. So we're going to be wanting, of course, this be DDR3, so let's try find some dual channel 2133 megahertz. Not showing too much, but there might be more out the back, so I can go have a look at that and try find it. Otherwise we'll just go with one of these cheap 1600 megahertz kit, probably something like this. Yeah, this kit right here, the G-Skill Ripjaws X series. So we'll have a look. We'll probably pick this one, have a look, see if we can find a 2133 megahertz kit of the same one. If not, we'll just go for this 1600 megahertz kit here. Now, what else do we need? Not going to be needing a discrete GPU, but we are going to need a hard drive. Now, if Greg is smart, which I think he is, he'll be going for an SSD just an SSD by itself. So you want that for the speed, although you could probably get an hard disk drive for cheaper. You're going to be wanting the SSD for the speed. I think that's going to make quite a bit of difference. So the cheapest 120 gigs here, there's no 60 gigs by the looks of it, so that would be the ideal one. So only got 120 gigs. So there's the SanDisk or the Kingston V300. Now the Kingston I kind of want to avoid because the speeds, actually they got in quite a bit of trouble for the speeds not being as advertised. They've fixed it now, so they're all sorted, but I think I'd go with this SanDisk. Looks like it would be, yeah, this one looks quite good. Let's see what speeds it gets up to. Yeah, so read speeds up to 520 megabytes a second and write speeds up to 180. That's perfectly fine for me. Now that we got all that, let's find a power supply. Go get a power supply. This isn't going to need much because, of course, you know, it's only running an APU, so we'll find something nice and cheap. Yeah, this little Antec 500 watt. Oh yeah, that'll be just fine. Yeah, this will be cool. Sweet, a little 500 watt power supply like that, just a little cheapie. And we need a case. So we'll go mid-tower and the cheapest mid-tower out. So that'll be this little Thermaltake, it looks like. Yes, it is. So the Thermaltake Versa H22 mid-tower case. So we'll go for that one. And that should be our whole build. Am I missing anything? No, looks like it's all there. Oh, is this it right here? And I'll take, yes, this is the one right here. Very good. Alright. Down. Okay. This is our little Antec 500 watt power supply. So this is the SanDisk SSD Plus, the 120 gig. So that's the one we're going to be wanting to go for this build. So we'll grab this guy. So right here, I believe. A88. It's a nice, sweet. Okay, so this is our motherboard. This is the one we'll be using for the build. There we go. Check that under my arm. Let's bring all this out to the front. 70K Godvari. I think this is going to be our APU that we'll be using. This up. Yep. Alrighty, now we got all oh, you see the little APU on there. So, I've got all my parts now. That's always good.
Okay, so I got my my final build list here on my Playtech shopping cart. I've decided on a spec, so now I just gotta go grab the parts so I can start whacking it all together. I got the 6300 here. The reason why I decided on that is because it's a dual core, so it's still pretty cheap, but it's got hyper-threading on it. So for a couple of those threaded apps, it's gonna be really cool. And I mean, the next step up, we jump up to an i5 or something, and it's considerably more than I wanted to spend on this build. So we'll start with the i3 6300, the H1110M. So that's one of the sort of entry-level motherboards. And it still uses DDR3, so it's gonna mean our build is nice and cheap in comparison. Even though, yeah, Skylake can take DDR4, we're gonna stick with DDR3 to keep the price down on this build. And it's gonna let us save a bit on the motherboard and also on the RAM. So we've got 4 gigs of DDR3 1600, so it's absolutely standard. It's about 45 bucks, so it's really cheap, and I feel like that's all I'm gonna need for this build. Here we go. So this is my case and power supply in one go, and it's super cheap, so hopefully I can save a few bucks there and get one over on Kevin. So we've got here the Gigabyte R7 370. Decided to go for the 370 here because it hits a kind of good price point in between so like integrated graphics or an APU and, you know, like a full-on graphics card that's going to cost you a significant amount. These guys come in at a really good price, and I think it should allow us to get to that like sweet spot of 1080p somewhere between 30 to 60 frames. I'm hoping on the higher end of that. I've seen some pretty good performance out of these guys before, so hopefully we're gonna get into that ballpark there. And what do we got next? Just the SSD to go. Here we go, the last piece, the SSD. So I've decided to go for an SSD here because price difference isn't that big between a mechanical and an SSD these days. Like, I mean, I could probably get like a 500 gig mechanical for about the same price. It's gonna feel a lot slower. It won't make a huge difference to our gaming performance. It might make a difference to our gaming load times, and it'll definitely make a difference to boot times and things like that. But, I mean, 120 gigs is enough to get your operating system on and chuck a couple games on there, a couple big games, and that should be fine, you know. It's gonna be a lot nicer to use, and I think that's gonna pay off. Cool, so here are all my parts, ready to go. Comes out to about 900 bucks altogether, so it's still really affordable gaming PC here. Hopefully we're gonna hit somewhere like maybe 1080p 60 frames if we're lucky. That's kind of what I'm holding out for, and to me that's gonna be really good value for money. That's gonna slay consoles, so hopefully that's gonna put the hurt on Kevin as well. Like I don't see how he could be beating me in dollar for dollar performance, but you know, that remains to be seen. He could be, you know, he could have a thing or two up his sleeve. Right now though, it's getting late. You know, it's the middle of summer over here in New Zealand. It's hot as hell, I'm sweating, and it's like 8 p.m. So, you know, I'm gonna call it for today, and we're gonna come back tomorrow and put these things together and see how they run. See you later.
Infinite power.